Hello, welcome back to the channel. Once again, thanks a lot to everybody who tuned in last week, Tuesday in fact, to see my reaction to the wonderful DIANA ANKUDINOVA. Possibly getting the pronunciation slightly better. I'm still learning, so, don't have a go at me. I have tried. So it's DIANA ANKUDINOVA. There's an emphasis on the ooh, I think. I've seen a few different variations of how I've listened to it, but I'm not very good at languages and pronunciation. I must admit, I can't even speak Welsh, and I'm from Wales. So what does that say about me? But anyway, never mind. So thanks a lot for joining in and watching my reaction to a brilliant performance of a Wicked game. If you haven't seen it, it'll be linked up there. So I promised that I would do another reaction today, and I'm going to. But first of all, somebody said in the comments, because I tend to drink whiskey, as you may know if you've watched this channel, and somebody said that they don't like whiskey so much, they prefer Russian vodka. I don't have Russian vodka, I do have British vodka. It's XIX by the Sidemen, and this is quite nice. It's 5 tons filtered. It's really smooth and nice. Once again, as always, there will be a link to my review of that as well. So anyway, this week it's been highly requested by all you wonderful people out there that have commented on the previous video of this type, and the top one came up was Can't Help Falling in Love. Now obviously this is an Elvis song from Blue Hawaii, I believe, although he didn't write the music. I'm not sure who wrote the lyrics. Obviously he sang it, but the music itself, I believe, is based on an 18th century French melody, I think. Now, obviously, I know this version. I also know a version from the 80s by a band called UB40. That's probably the one I've heard most often. I think 21 Pilots did an interesting rendition of it not long ago. But anyway, this is the one that was requested. I've chosen a live performance yet again. This one particularly because it's from the same YouTube page that I've got the previous reaction video from. So hopefully this won't be restricted in Russia and a bunch of other areas, because obviously there's a lot going on in the world and there's quite a few videos, especially American ones, no offense, that are banned in Russia, or they're not allowing them to go to Russia, or they put blocks on them or something, and it's copyrighting them and it's stopping them from showing. My previous country music video and the one before then was also blocked in certain territories, so I'm trying to find versions that won't be blocked. So hopefully this won't be blocked. So let's have a listen.
Раз. Всем здравствуйте. Еще раз. Хорошего вечера.
I'm looking forward to this. I like this is the piano. Quite slow.
Wise men say
Like that.
only fools wish,
It's the tone of her voice I really enjoy.
but I can't help falling in love with you.
Before I go any further, there's a couple of things I want to point out. I like the version of this because obviously there's a few different versions. They take a different tempo to it. This is slowing it right down. I like that it's just simple piano. There's a little bit of strings in there which just gives it kind of an epic quality. And just there's the little bit of percussion, just the little taps in the middle of the verses, which I really like for some reason. That just kind of, it adds to it. And with her tone being so precise and quite deep, it just plays along and makes it feel a lot more epic rather than just a love story. There's more to it. But I have some ideas about my feelings on that, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let's go back and I'll point out the few little things I'm noticing.
Раз. Всем здравствуйте. Еще раз. Хорошего вечера.
Always let her talk first. I'll try not to disturb it too much and kind of pick out the bits I like. I like that string at the beginning and the way it goes. So string and then just the little piano. It's quite slow and meaningful. It's definitely a slightly different version of it. I quite like this. Nice.
Wise men say
I like that, I like the percussion.
fools
like that. With the strings just coming softly. It's a lovely arrangement for it. Let's just change the stance. Let's open this up a little
but I can't help falling in love with you. But I can't help falling in love with you.
Before we get into the epic bit. Okay, this is a strange idea. I may upset a lot of people with this. But the epic quality of this, the way the strings come in, is just the soft piano, the little bit of percussion, and the epic nature of it. Makes me think James Bond theme. This would be an epic James Bond theme. Now, it's the kind of thing from the point of view of like the Russian spy who has fallen for James. She doesn't want to fall for James Bond, but he's so, suave and everything that he is in that world. And she can't help herself, she can't help but do what she can for him and help him, and she shouldn't, but she can't help herself because of who he is. And that's what this makes me think. And the way it's so epic, I said the strings, the way they come in is very kind of James Bond theme. It's just the light piano. So the string at the beginning to come in, and then as it builds, the strings just come in, just a single line. It really does make me think of that. I think it's quite interesting the way she's standing very still. The top half moves, her feet are fairly planted. Occasionally her foot taps along with a beat, but she's quite planted. As she's doing the deep, her feet are quite close together. Then you see as she starts to raise her voice and go a little bit higher, see her feet come apart, you can see her arms coming up. It's like her arms coming up, she's pointing a little bit just to like open up all the airways and the lungs and just be able to kind of open everything up and go higher. And it's really interesting seeing that, because as soon as she started doing this, like something's coming out, she's going to go a bit higher. She moved the legs apart a little bit, changed the stance, more grounded. And you see her arms moving up ready just to kind of push more air out and go that bit higher. And it's really, really fun to see. And I know we've got an epic moment coming now because she's done it again. She's moved her feet apart a little bit, not a huge amount, just a little bit. Not as like wide apart as somebody like Bruce Dickinson, who looks like he's straddling a horse. She hasn't gone that far, but you can see she has become more grounded. She's spaced her feet a little bit to give her a little bit more sort of a better stance, more grounded, so she can push like right away from her feet all the way up and get the power out. So this bit's going to be interesting. So I'll go back a little bit, but yeah, James Bond theme, man, definitely. Let's go. Perfect. You can see it coming out a little bit and just kind of widening. I like that transition to the higher. There she goes. Wide and just like open she's gone. It's nice hearing the higher voice and just I'm gonna go back a minute, but even the end, it's James Bond theme. It is. Oh my god, it's which for me is wonderful. I love James Bond. I always have as a kid. I know it's not politically correct, but it's just storytelling. It's just what to expect. And this music just makes me think of, you know, those adventures, think of, you know, the gun and down the barrel, and, you know, all the ridiculous bits they always have at the beginning with the silhouettes of the ladies dancing and the gun and the bullets, and you can imagine all of that while you're listening. So you just close your eyes and you could picture all of the kind of the iconic James Bond themes, like in the visuals while you're listening to this amazing track. And it's just the way it flows. I love the bit when there isn't any lyrics, because I notice she's just really singing the chorus. She's not singing the main verse, you know, river flowing to sea and all that. She doesn't do those verses, which is completely understandable. She's gone for the more expressive, when she's not using lyrics and she's just letting the voice flow out. So I want to go back to that bit because I really enjoyed that. Once again, the music in the background is good, and it builds and builds and then ends. Like a lot of times, as I said, I'm going back to James Bond theme, but that it starts with strings, starts light, goes heavier, more strings and more percussion. It gets bigger and more epic and comes crescendo and then stops. And just as like stops and cuts into, like, you know, London or wherever else James Bond is at the time, usually in London, because before the music he's usually doing something somewhere, skiing, getting away from bad guys, and then it's like, dang, music stops and he's in London talking to, you know, Q or M or whoever else. And that's what it is. I keep going on about it, but that's what it is for me. Right, so look, I like that bit, the tone, it's just really nice. And this bit is just, it does again. Just close your eyes and just think of all the James Bond stuff. It's just fantastic. I love it. She's so animated at this bit. Brilliant. That was wonderful. I enjoyed that. That's one for the playlist.
Спасибо. Диана Анкудинова, чарующая.
Thank you for joining me on this. Hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. Apologies if I've upset anyone by comparing the song to a James Bond theme, but honestly, just the epic nature of the composition, the strings, the percussion, the way she sang it, the way it started slow, the string came in, and then just the piano, and then her voice was just low, and just that tone was right for that kind of movie, and the way it built up to crescendo and she went higher and then it just fell. It's just, oh, you can imagine for James Bond, you know, you see all the visuals with the gun and, you know, the silhouettes of the women dancing, because they always have that in James Bond, let's be honest. And the way it then ended, you could just imagine it then cut into, you know, a scene in London where he's going to see M or Q, or, you know, going to see somebody in London, and it just felt like that completely. And I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest. You know, if that happened to be the next James Bond theme, I would absolutely 100% be in for that. Now, the James Bond theme, you know, as I was growing up, it was always the biggest artists at the time that would be that. Adele, Madonna, you know, Tina Turner, you name it, everyone's done it. Sam Smith did it. Chris Cornell did an absolutely fantastic one, Know My Name, for Casino Royale, which is the first Daniel Craig when they kind of rebooted 007 for Casino Royale. Was absolutely brilliant. And there's been so many classic songs that, you know, stand the test of time as brilliant themes for a movie, and specifically James Bond. That's what it's all about. And this had that epic quality to it, and it had the right tone and the right vibe to it, and I just absolutely loved it. So, that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. So thanks a lot for sharing that one with me, and please continue to share your comments and your views on this, and, you know, telling me off because my pronunciation is awful, which it will be, because I'm not very good at that, but I will keep trying, I promise. And yeah, just keep up, you know, saying such wonderful things. It's so refreshing to be on the internet and seeing so many nice comments. It's amazing. So thank you one and all, and until next time, see you soon. Bye bye.